first. We are in a first world country. We do have access to amazing things. So why are we as a society the sickest that we've been? There's microplastics that are being found in cadavers' brains now that were not there before.
That's kind of crazy.
Yes.
You know, if our immune system is our body's self-defense, then why do we wait until we're sick to support it anyway? What is triggering our allergies anyway? I mean,
our allergies are triggered by inflammation.
You know, there's really been a market shift of people starting to look differently. They're not just trusting the way it's always been with traditional Western medicine, that people are actually starting to seek and look in a different way. It's not okay. You don't have to stay in that and live like this the rest of your life.
Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us here at Rethink Focus Center. We're having a fireside chat today talking about immune system and allergies. We have the allergy season coming up. So
yes, I'm so excited for you to help get rid of some of those myths.
Absolutely.
You know, if our immune system is our body's self-defense, then why do we wait until we're sick to support it anyway?
Aren't we funny in the way that we wait till there's a problem to implement a solution? We know that this spring coming up, that our immune system and our allergies are going to be increased. Our immune system is going to be challenged. Well, maybe most people don't know that their immune system is going to be challenged, and that's why it's linked to allergies. We do know that during transitions of the season that people are more prone to have allergies. So in the spring, in the fall. So in a wellness mindset, we're thinking, hey, this is a known. We've all had enough life experience to know in the spring and the fall, we have allergies. So what if we start thinking about prevention?
Exactly. Why don't we just wait? It's like, I know I'm going to get sick sometime and then go to the doctor after we know we're getting sick. I mean, people in my family are like, every time at certain times of the year, they're like, I get a sinus infection, got to go to the doctor. I'm like, can we please? What do you have that we can do that we can prevent it in a wellness mindset before we get to the sick and then the doctor and the missing the work and the antibiotics and the expense?
Absolutely. And I really like to think about our bodies like a motor vehicle. We all spend so much time and effort, energy preserving our motor vehicle. We know how important it is to our society, to our lifestyle, to our household. And we're not thinking that we need to also put that same amount of effort and even more so into this vehicle that we never get to trade in.
Makes sense.
So what if any preventive maintenance that we're doing for our motor vehicle, we also put that toward our body? For example, fuel. You know, we don't wait till we run out of fuel before we put fuel in our vehicle.
Right. So what would you say would be our fuel for our bodies here before allergy season hits us?
So my favorite right here is this immune tincture. I personally started this immune tincture at Labor Day because I knew that every fall, especially by the time the winter gets here, I have challenges with my own respiratory system, and that's where my allergies kick in. So I started this in the fall, Labor Day weekend, and I have sailed through the winter without any issues.
So how long does a bottle last you?
So this is 48 servings. So 1 to 2 servings a day at the bargain price of $33. That is totally worth my time and effort to stay well because I'm not missing any time.
Okay, you know, my family's going to say, is it taste nasty? Because if it tastes nasty, not taking it.
So it does have a vitamin E taste. So how about we put the drops under our tongue where we don't have any taste buds?
Ha-ha.
And so I like to put the dropper full of the tincture under my tongue, tilt the head back, and it will just come back into the throat. And
no taste.
No problem. If we need to put it in a little bit of water, maybe just a little shot of water, a little 2 ounce or less, then we can take it that way. Please don't put it in juice. That's extra sugar that our body does not need. That further contributes to inflammation.
And then, of course, once you get your system clean, you don't notice the taste as bad.
That's so true. I'm glad you mentioned that, Jeannie, because whenever our body is clean from the inside out, then we have a better tolerance for a whole lot of things. And, you know, we put a lot of these things into our body that are very clean. They are sourced well, and they have no toxins as opposed to a lot of other products that are over the counter and available. Then we're looking at just being able to fuel our body with the right stuff, and the taste becomes less noticeable and really less important because we have an understanding about what it's doing to our body and our immune system.
So any age? Like my young children?
So shouldn't be a problem as long as we can get them to tolerate the taste. And so diluting this in the water is a great option. And so if we want to mix it in with some of their other breakfast foods maybe, then that could be good too. The more direct we could get it into our body, the better. I wouldn't want to always put it in maybe my nutritional shake that I'm taking every day, but if we can just get more tolerable to the taste, the benefits are so incredibly important.
Awesome. So going on that, keeping our immune systems up, what is triggering our allergies anyway? I mean, we live here in the same area every day, unless we've moved back and forth, but what comes around that triggers it? You know, I open my app on my WeatherBug and it's like, oh, high pollen for whatever trees or whatever's blooming at the time. So is that what's triggering all of our allergies?
So I'm going to propose that our allergies are triggered by inflammation.
Ah, okay.
So we have inflammation in our body, and a lot of that is due to, number one, stress. Our body is not made to handle all of the constant stresses that our system is in. And so we do need some rest from that stress. But until we can get there, there's some things that we can do because of our inflammation, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the foods that we eat. A lot of those, we don't have choices except to have an air cleaner around us, especially whenever we're sleeping in our room. We need an air cleaner cleaning that air because that's where we're in one spot for the longest amount of time. And so that's number one thing we can do to help with inflammation. And then also we can look at drinking clean water. That means not out of a plastic bottle. Plastic is not our friend. There's some valid research out saying that there's microplastics that are being found in cadavers' brains now that were not there before.
That's kind of crazy.
Yes. So where are these plastics coming from? We all need to look at what is our food stored in? What are we drinking from? And so all of these plastics are getting into our bodies now from somewhere. And so that's a valid question to say, okay, where are these coming from? I urge everybody to change to glass and stainless steel.
Interesting. So I see all these supplements. Can they really compete with over-the-counter things that I can get at a big box store or even my pharmacy if they've got a quality grade there, but they're still over-the-counter, they're not supplements? What's the difference and how can they be better?
So getting your supplements from a small batch health food store or even a pharmacy is going to be so much better than getting that from a grocery store. Grocery stores are not our nutrition guides. They are not there to make us healthier. They are there to provide an essential service that will move off the shelves. So they're not looking at sourcing. They're not looking at quality. They're not looking at what amount of toxins are in here. They're not looking at third-party research. They're not looking at which patented materials are being used in this blend. So instead of taking 7 different supplements, we're taking one blend, okay? So all of these things are important, plus transportation and storage. How were supplements at the grocery store transported? Were they stored on a dock that was sitting there in the heat, sitting there in the cold? We don't know. We don't know how long ago it left the place that it was made. Whenever somebody's getting a supplement from a small batch health food store or a health practice like ours that carries a high quality nutrition line, we're ordering once a week direct from the supplier. So our products are going to be high quality, they're going to be fresh, and we know directly how long ago they left the facility where they were made. That if we get it from the grocery store or a place that's not looking at us in the face to say, hey, this is a quality product that you can count on. I use it myself. I use it for my own loved ones, my own family, my own household. Whenever you can't have that connection with somebody, such as an online supplier, then you really don't know what you're getting. So are you saving money? So I've heard it said in wellness that the most expensive supplement is the one that doesn't work. And because you're spending money on it, but if it has a very low quality of product, sure, you're taking it in and you're taking it in with all the other stuff
you
that
think
you
you're
don't
doing
know.
great. It's like, I did my vitamins this morning. I took everything I needed. I'm good to go, and knowing that it's null and void.
Exactly, because the active ingredient in it is maybe 5% of what it is to a high quality supplement. And so how much more percentage are you paying to get that high quality? It's really not that this is so expensive, it's that the others is so cheap, and it's cheap for a reason.
Sure.
And that's the question we need to be asking is, why is this so inexpensive? Because it has either a low quality active ingredient or maybe it has all these toxins in it. We already did a bit on CNN's article that they published in January about how so many of the protein supplements over the counter have high amounts of cadmium, lead, and some of these other heavy metals in them because it can make it cheaper. They're sold by weight. So if they can make
fillers.
Exactly. So whenever we don't source our supplements well, there's really no telling what we're getting, and it's highly likely we're not getting what we think we're paying for.
So can I come find some of this at the health food store?
Sure. Your small batch health food store should be a great resource for you. If you come to a health practice, somebody who knows you and can be more of a health coach, then I recommend that, because what are we focusing on for right now? Are we focusing on immune system so that we don't have as many allergies? Great. So take this for a short amount of time. You may need to take this for 1 bottle full, maybe 2, instead of becoming a lifestyle supplement, which is something you need to take long term. And so when working with a health coach, you're looking at what is my focus for this moment, and let me focus on that, get inside my body what I need, and then once that is accomplished, okay, we're looking at the next layer of health that we want to work on.
Cool. So say we're maybe didn't build our immune system up enough, or something's still attacking us. We're starting to feel that allergy. We're getting that itchy, runny nose, eyes. We're here. We want to try to, before we're full blown, what can we do to kind of like curb it and get it in check before it goes too far?
Yes. So let's start with some nasal saline. Okay.
Well, my nose is already runny, so I mean, it's wet. You want me to put something else wet in there?
I do, because the wetness that you're feeling from your sinuses is actually inflammation. And so your body is creating inflammation to get something out. Okay. We need to help it and support it, especially in dry climate areas, low humidity areas such as ours.
Where we live, right?
And so we need to give our body some good clean hydration. And so I recommend just a clean nasal saline spray, not a medicated spray. And we can actually just put the tip of the bottle into our nose and lean back, and you can really control how many drops go into your nasal passage. You should also feel that here in the back of the throat, because the nose and the back of the throat are connected. And so anybody with that that you're feeling, so that's a postnasal drip, and things are getting dry back there. So let's go ahead and hydrate all of those mucosal linings so that the body can have enough fuel to get things moved and out, which means either cough, sneeze them out, or have them go down into our digestion, where we should have enough digestive enzymes to handle that mucus. And so I know it sounds gross, but the body is made to do these things to clean itself well, but it gets dry. So the good old nasal saline, this is not even expensive.
Well, that looks like that should last me like several months then, right?
It should last you about 3 days.
Really?
Yes. So I say
I'm going to put that
copious.
much in my body for that 3 days?
So after 3 days, whatever's not left gets tossed. So make sure you buy these smaller bottles.
So don't get the big economy size.
Don't get the big economy size.
Don't share with the family.
Please don't share with the family. You wouldn't share your toothbrush. So, well, maybe you would, but you shouldn't. And so the nasal saline is going to be a great thing that you can access. It is inexpensive, and as soon as you feel any dryness or any sinus symptom, please give some saline to your body, some hydration right where you're needing it, and so that the body can move. If the body dries out, that's where we get some sinus infections, because all of those allergens and those irritants are going to dry and get stuck inside our sinuses or in the back of our throat. Then the body doesn't have the resources it needs to actually work how it needs to, which is to get things out or down.
So sometimes, somebody will walk by with some perfume or a smoke, or even if it is something pollen outside related, and I feel that kind of little itch down there, and I'm like, I start kind of getting like that. So it's something like, I don't know, the Air Max? What does that do?
So love these Air Max chewables. And so we actually sample these in our practice so that people can try them. Would you like to sample one?
Sure.
Okay.
So what do they taste like?
So we use the strawberry flavor. I'll put this in your hands. Okay. I'd like for you to put this between your cheek and your teeth and let it just soak in right here. Okay. This is actually advanced immune support, because we don't think that we are having allergies because my immune system is challenged, which means my immune system needs that support. Allergies and allergy medication that's over the counter is usually going to block something that actually causes congestion and backup somewhere else in our system.
Like an antihistamine.
Yes, and so thinking about our body like a highway system and there's construction, Maybe there's, a highway that the road is closed and everything has to exit, okay? So there's going to be congestion and backup somewhere because we've closed that road, we've closed that highway with the antihistamine. Instead of opening up the highway, if we build our immune system, it's like adding another lane. Everything can move faster, easier, instead of adding the antihistamine over-the-counter medication that actually closes that road and makes everything exit.
So this is pretty tasty. It's just a slight strawberry, not strong.
Okay.
And it's just kind of melting in my mouth.
Good.
Kind of draining down.
Mm-hmm. Good. And it should soak in through your cheek also. And then you can definitely hydrate your mouth, your inner lining, that mucosa, and so that it can absorb even more. The nice thing about chewables is you can also swallow your chewable. Okay, you have the option just to
As
leave it in your mouth for as long as you like.
Okay.
It may start getting a little more tart as the chewable gets a little smaller, and you may get less tolerant of that flavor. And so don't spit it out. Just go ahead and swallow it down.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and so then it's in your gut.
And then just kind of
processed.
breathing a little bit.
Yes, so Nutritional Frontiers is really fun. They have a 2-a-day challenge. And so actually take 2 of these a day, whether you think you need it or not, because most of us are not as clear in our sinuses as we think we are.
So when we're clear in our sinuses, we're probably going to be smelling more things.
Possibly. So it depends how toxic our system is, whether we need to get more toxins out. But the nice thing about the Air Max and decreasing the inflammation, boosting our immune system, the airway passages are more open, and so there's more air exchange able to happen, and so that's beneficial. You may notice to fragrances and odors and stuff also, but you also may not, so that's a different thing.
So I see there's a Air Max that's not chewables.
Yes, so the capsules are great whenever somebody needs the convenience of just a capsule to be able to take it on the go. They have good digestive enzymes and they're able to break down the supplement. Any supplement is clean food in the convenience of a capsule.
So I've heard about mold and yeast and candida. Are they overlooked in a lot with allergies and immune health? Is that causing some of our problems?
I love this question. Yes, so 70 to 80% of our immune system is in our gut. And if we have an inflamed gut, which most people do unless they've targeted their gut on purpose, then we're having trouble with our immune system based on our gut not being healed and sealed, not being clean, things like that. So being very congested, including the liver. And so whenever we're looking at, mold is a very, very, very complex thing. We could do an entire series just on that one thing alone. But say somebody just has the general mold in their shower because it needs to be cleaned, but they're not having a huge systemic reaction to mold. But they also have some yeast in their gut. We look at things very carefully. And so whenever we're looking at how do we need to support the gut, we definitely want to start with something like a gentle liver cleanse. We may need to do something heal and seal with the GI Complete, things like that. But if we're looking at specifically mold, specifically yeast, the candida, then we do have some supplements for that also. Whenever we're looking at any leaky gut issue, we also need to look at leaky brain. And so that's whenever we go into a deeper dive with our consultative process, because we can clean up the gut, but if there's mental emotional issues there also, we need to really balance that out carefully, because we can't do a really hard shift to the gut without also considering the mental piece of that.
So much of it works together that I didn't think about. We just think it's our nose, it's our sinuses, but it goes much deeper.
It really does, because really we're one body. And so one body with many interchanges between our systems. And so it's more of a conventional or Western medicine idea to break it up. Ear, nose, and throat is separate than GI, is separate than heart, is separate than brain, separate than muscle, separate than joint. And really that is not how our body works, because it's one body with multiple intersects inside. And so
that's what I was thinking. So we go to just the specialist for our ear, nose, and throat. We're having allergies. We just go to one person. We go to allergist. We don't consider what else is building in our body that we need to address.
Right, and why not? Why have we segregated that way? Because then we're not looking at the full picture. It's like not using a recipe, but you say, okay, I want to make these great cinnamon rolls, but I'm only going to look at the icing. Well, what about everything else. That's not really a cinnamon roll. So let's look at the whole body and look at all of those intersections interchanged, and then we're able to really address root cause. And so we see a lot of people here at Resonant Focus, they're tired. They've been to all of these places.
It's tiring to go to all those different doctors, and they push you to another doctor and to another doctor, and you're like, the craziness, can it just stop?
Right. And then more prescriptions, and then more prescriptions for the side effects of these other prescriptions. So that's where a person is using their powers of observation to say, wait a minute, why am I chasing all of these superficial things? Let's look at root cause. And that's what we do here at Resonant Focus. And a lot of wellness places are going to look more at root cause. For example, our toxicity test that we use with Nutritional Frontiers is looking at multiple symptoms and multiple systems, and people are fascinated and really validated to say, I thought that there was a relation, but nothing out there is really telling me that there's a relationship, between my allergies and my gut. But I noticed that if I eat this, then this joint hurts, or I have this runny nose after I eat this. They don't think about that connection because it's been trained out of us. But once we finally look at things with a distance to say, hey, okay, obviously these things are not working. What can I do differently? And that's whenever they're really ready for the wellness space.
You think there's really been a market shift of people starting to look differently? They're not just trusting the way it's always been with traditional Western medicine, that people are actually starting to seek and look in a different way.
Yeah. It's really exciting whenever we have other providers that are like-minded to where I am now. I was very, very deep in my training for 20 years, and at some point I had to recognize the fact that, okay, these clients should be getting better because we're following the textbook examples, but they're not getting better, and I believe them. I believe that they're doing their part. Right. I'm doing my training. Something's missing. And that's where the wellness space says, hey, because it's an entire human body. And yes, there's an immune system there. Yes, there's a central nervous system there. There's musculoskeletal. It's beautiful and how it's all interlinked and intertwined. But can our allergies and the fact that we have allergies be linked to joint pain? Absolutely, because it's inflammation.
I think we've just put up with it for so long. We're just like, this is the way it is. It doesn't change. It's not going to be any different. And we've kind of talked about it may be common, but it's not normal.
Yes,
and
I love
so
that.
it's like you may be experiencing that, but it's not okay. You don't have to stay in that and live like this the rest of your life.
Right. We are in a first world country. We do have access to amazing things. So why are we as a society the sickest that we've been? And just things are not going as well on the society level as they should with all the access that we have. So that's where we get to ask another question. Hey, what other way is there? I remember, 10 years ago thinking, I have so much pain. I don't feel good. I'm not sleeping good. I don't wake up good in the morning. How am I going to keep doing this for as long in my life as I'm supposed to be living? And then now that I've worked through different processes, I've gone through different phases, supporting my immune system, my joint pain is so much better, and I've done stuff for that. And, now I'm like, oh, I'm excited for the next 50 years of my life because, I'm feeling great.
Good now.
And I want to share that with other people because I had my own struggles, my own journey, and not everybody needs to go that far or go that alone, and they don't have to. And there's so many great resources out there.
Well, I really appreciate you pouring into the community, into the staff here, and into our clients because we're making a difference in their lives. And actually, when we see less of them, they're feeling better.
Right.
We start helping them, and they're like, oh, I'm feeling good. I will see you in a couple of months. And we're like, but we miss you. And they're like, but we're good. We've got to go live our lives now.
Right. And as a doctor of physical therapy, that's been my, role in people's lives my entire career. I want them to need physical therapy less and less because that means that they're out enjoying their life, high quality, and that's what I'm accustomed to. But I always want them to know, hey, whenever things aren't great or you want to make them better than they are, we're here to help you bridge that gap. We want to see you sooner than later because if we wait too long, it's going to take longer and more to get you back to where you want to be. And I also love the idea that, hey, if we think this has gotten a little worse, it probably has. Really listen to your intuition. Intuition is a gift that everybody has. Some of us have been trained to not listen to it anymore, and some of us have gotten that back to say, hey, my intuition is part of my being, and I really need to utilize that.
And we really need to think well care first. not last. Always being reactive, we need to be proactive.
You cannot go wrong building up your immune system. We have so many different options. I really love this immune glandular, and so it's sourced from New Zealand. The livestock there are just more pure because they haven't had, genetic modification. They haven't had different breeding situations that may have been not controlled because that island is so monitored,
Yes.
whenever it comes. So any of your supplements that are sourced, especially glandulars from New Zealand, are known and accepted to be of the higher quality. This buffered C+, it can be a capsule, also comes in a powder, okay? And this is important because it's more tolerated to the system. It's going to be less acidic with it being buffered. And so it's still immune support, but we kind of are familiar with vitamin C.
Right, we've always heard, take your vitamin C.
Yes. Now, sadly, in our fruits, such as our oranges, they don't have the amount of vitamin C that they used to have.
Oh, but come on.
So looking
Feel
at...
like we're doing good eating our oranges every day.
Right. And so oranges are not in my household anymore because they spike the blood sugar more so than the benefit of the nutrition. Nutrition in our foods, it's not what it was years ago. That may be changing, but it's a big ship to turn. And so in the meantime, supplements are going to be the best way that our body can get the nutrition until our grocery stores have nutritious food in it that we really need. So if you struggle with allergies or immune system issues, there's no time like the present to course correct and start making it a focus. So please drop us a line. We can make recommendations on how to best support you, but let us know you need support. And so there's a lot of things that can be done to support your immune system. And number one is actually sleep. We do also support sleep with supplements. And so if you're going to do that, make sure that you're sourcing them from a good, clean place. That's going to be your small batch health food store or one of the local practices that is a wellness place and has some medical grade food products such as supplements. And at Rethink Focus, we've chosen Nutritional Frontiers, has about 80% or more of our shelf space. And so feel very confident in their products and their research and the people that are in their group making it happen. I also love how high quality supplements and companies will provide educational resources. Not only do they tell us the highlights for what this product is doing, they take a deeper dive and give a lot of education as to why each of these ingredients are in their blend. I really appreciate working with companies that have gone to that level of the education piece. Having been in education, higher education, formally for a decade, now I'm in individual education, so I love it. I love having something that the client can take with them and they're going to understand after they leave the session why it is that they need that for their body. And they'll also have a good understanding whether it's for temporary or for long term. And so make sure that you are supporting your own immune system, and it's best to balance our immune system with also our blood sugar and our hormones. Because remember, it's one body, it's not separate pieces of the body. So that's important to start rethinking it in that way. So
just drop us a comment if you're struggling with allergies or need help with your immune issues.
awesome. Thanks. We'll see you next time.